bad.
What's up? Another episode of Ripple Effect Podcast. I'm your host, Ricardo Brands, also known as Ricky Brands, and a great episode for you today. I truly appreciated today's conversation. I don't have a whole lot of athletes on the show, and I don't reach out to a whole lot of athletes because, honestly, sometimes I'm curious if I could hold a 1 hour conversation with an athlete, how interesting they are or whatnot. And I've had some in the past. I've had Boki Nakbar, who played in the NBA and overseas. I've had Justin Wren, who fought in UFC and Bellator. And so I've had some great conversations with some athletes. But today, I really had an amazing conversation. And today is a little special because he is what I think, a future champ in MMA. Pedro Carvalho, who is from Guimarães, Portugal. Obviously, if you're a long-time listener to this show, you know I was also born in Portugal, born in Chaves, and I love supporting other athletes, other people who are doing great things from our country, and especially in MMA, because there's not a whole lot of MMA athletes. I mean, there's another one, Andre Fialho, who's also had some great fights in Bellator or whatnot, but I just love supporting these guys. But what makes it even more special is the fact that his outlook on life, his way he looks at things, his perspective, his mental state, all that is just truly special. That even if he wasn't from Portuguese, even if he wasn't an MMA fighter who was fighting for a belt in Bellator and was scheduled to fight for a belt in Bellator just recently before the coronavirus had to shut that down, he would still make for amazing conversation, an interesting conversation that you could absolutely take something from. And with all this stuff going on, all this negative news, and if you follow me on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever it may be, you know my opinion on a lot of this stuff. I feel like the news, the media is force feeding you just negativity, only how many deaths, only how many cases, no positivity, no what's the average age, or how many deaths are this compared to like the season of flu or anything else, or even talking about getting exercise or going outside, getting some vitamin D for your health and to help your immune system, so when you do fight something, when it's time to fight something, you're ready for it. Like, none of that. So Pedro has a amazing ability to find the positive in no matter how negative the situation is. He finds the positive. His way of looking at things, his mental strength during rough times to be able to always look at find the light at the end of the tunnel, I think is awesome, because I think for many of us, it can be depressing. I'm sure mentally a lot of people are struggling right now. One, what are they going to do with their day? How long is this going to last? All that anxiety. So I think a conversation like I had with Pedro today is really important and special, and hopefully can help some people with just kind of looking for the positive and looking for the light in a very dark tunnel. So a very special athlete. I'm very excited to see what the future holds. I have no doubt it's going to be great things. And I take even more pride in knowing that he's from Portugal. He has an amazing story of falling in love with MMA in Portugal, and then going to Ireland, going to Conor McGregor's gym. And so just a really awesome podcast. Hopefully this is a nice change from all the coronavirus podcasts I've been doing recently. I know it kind of seems like it's the only thing people want to hear about at the moment, but I think the things you can learn from how he seems to always find the positive in things, I think can be useful for many people listening. So with that said, also remember, if you want to support the show, I have a Patreon page. You'll find that in the show description. I'll have links to our guests' social media accounts, and then my social media accounts, my Patreon page, my music, Theory 6, which is the music you hear in the podcast. If you want to support the show, you can find that anywhere you can get digital download. And I think that's it. I still haven't figured out the Skype thing. For some reason, Skype, all of a sudden, my last 2 interviews is only recording my guest's feed, and they're not recording my feed. My software that I'm using to record Skype is, I don't know if it's a problem with that or if it's a problem with the new update that Skype has done. So I'll try to figure that out so you can see both of us. But this interview, if you want to go on our YouTube channel, RV Theory 6, then you can, or just search the Ripple Effect Podcast and you can find our YouTube channel. You can see Pedro and I have a conversation. Or this, in this case, like I said, you can only see Pedro this time because of this little issue I'm dealing with. And that's it for now. So I have a bunch of shows that I'm scheduling. A bunch of guests pulled out like a week or 2 ago because we weren't talking about the coronavirus, and I felt like at the moment maybe a lot of people didn't want to hear conversations about other stuff. But a lot of other guests that do have opinions and things to say about the current state of things are more than willing to come on. So that's the good news. So that's it for now. Hopefully, guys, everybody's staying safe, staying busy, and staying sane. I love all of you, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Great. Are you in Portugal? Guimarães?
Yeah, Guimarães, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, great. Well, you got there before all the ban and all that stuff. I'm sure travel right now is probably hard to get in and out of the country right now.
Yeah. Like I was in US for the 13th to fight. On the 14th, the Saturday, I went to Dublin just to leave my stuff from the fight. And straight away, needed a day after I came to Portugal. And since then, I've been here.
Yeah, because I actually wanted to go down to Mohegan to see you because I live in Massachusetts, right, not too far from Connecticut.
Yeah.
And Nick Newell, who trains at Fighting Arts Academy, which is Jeremy Lubashevsky's actually from the area, and his wife's actually Portuguese. Jeremy's a wife, and Nick Newell was fighting down there, and you were fighting down there. And so I was telling my wife, I'm like, we got to make it down there. We got to go support the Portuguese. And you know, it was awesome because, you know, to have you headlining. And I mean, I was so excited because, I mean, I was following Andre Fialho, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And, you know, I was excited for any Portuguese fighter in MMA because for so long, everybody who spoke Portuguese in MMA was Brazilian, you know, and I'm like, where are the Portuguese fighters, you know? So for people who aren't familiar with their story, you know, you come from Portugal and you know, like I said, you're a Portuguese fighter, and there's not a whole many of them, especially in the big 2, you know, Bellator, UFC. How did you get into MMA, and is there, you know, places to train? How could you watch it growing up? How did you get into it?
You know, I got into MMA a little bit by not by mistake, but was like just random. I was in home with my mom. We were watching TV, and this commercial, this advertisement about a new show that was about to start in the channel that we were seeing, and it got our attention because it was like 2 guys inside of a cage with really small gloves, and they were fighting on the feet, on the ground, and all of that got our attention. So we wait for the date to see what was there, and yeah, when the show started, was at the time was UFC Unleashed. That is like a show that shows some classic fights from UFC. And the first time that I watched, I immediately fall in love for all of that, and a few months later, I found by a friend of mine that he normally trains soccer, football, and I called him and I was like, "Hey, what are you gonna do today?" And he was like, I'm gonna train." And I was like, "Where you are playing?" And he was like, "I'm not playing football. I'm doing MMA." And I was like, oh, when he told me that, all my world stopped. And I just asked him where, because like at that time, like I didn't know nothing about MMA because, you know, in Portugal, you just didn't hear about MMA. So I didn't have any information. I didn't know that we have MMA in Portugal, even less in my own city. So yeah, there was a team in my city. That was the place that it was training, and yeah, on the same week, I still remember we had their conversation on a Wednesday. Next Saturday, I was doing the subscription, and the rest is history.
Was there a fighter when you started training that you kind of fell in love with? Because I'm assuming you probably started watching it more. Because even though they probably didn't have it live, you could watch the reruns of classic fights. Was there somebody who really caught your eye that you're like, oh, I'm a fan of this guy?
Yeah. Like when I started to watch the three guys that was on active, and they were the big things, and there was the guys that I was looking up to was the two big names was Georges St. Pierre and Anderson Silva, and Chuck Liddell. That was the three, and I love to see that. But of course, there was so many more at the time. Frank Mir was at his prime. So many names, from that time, and yeah, there was, and I got just straight away. And I still remember the first fight that I watched from that show was Frank Trigg against Georges St. Pierre when he rear naked choked him, and yeah, that was the big names that I remember from that time.
Yeah, I love Georges St. Pierre. He was he was so polite that he would ask forgiveness for if he didn't feel like he put on a good performance after the fight. He'd be like, "I'm sorry, I didn't put on a good fight," and I'm just like, "You are." And then when he came back and fought Bisping, I was just like, "That's such a bad idea. What are you doing? You're going up on weight. You haven't fought in a long time." And then when he won, I'm like, "This guy can do anything." This is just he's him, Anderson. That was such a great era because some of those guys are gonna go down in history as some of the great. They already are considered some of the greatest of all time, and that's why when you see stories like John Jones recently, getting in trouble again, it's just like you feel like imagine what his potential could be if he was as focused as a Pedro Carvalho. Because I hear you don't drink when you're focused. You really have this passion, and one when I started hearing about you. And I was immediately excited. I'm like, I'm going to support this guy because he's Portuguese. So I'm like, I'm going to. And then when you were good, when I saw how good you were, I'm like, holy shit, he's not just Portuguese, he's really good. And so I was like very impressed. I remember just text messaging all my friends. I'm like, hey, look up for this guy. Look up for this guy. Everybody, a bunch of my friends are following you on Instagram, nice. And I'm like, I'm telling you, this guy, he's going to be our guy. He's going to be the Portuguese guy who breaks through. Watch.
Yeah, I am the guy.
Well, the thing is, I've heard in interviews, I know on that. A Portuguese interview I saw you on, you were talking about how when you say these things, you truly believe it. And I think that's very important, correct?
For me, it is, like from the very first day that I started MMA, I believe that 80%, at least 80% of having success in anything in life, it's the mental part, it's the belief part, and then when you have a rock solid belief in yourself and in your work, and you mix with hard work, daily hard work, sacrifice, and just go forward with that, there's only one result, and that's win or being successful, and I've been guiding myself like that. I've been believing in myself from the very first day, even like. I still remember, because I come from a small town, small city, and besides, Portugal never had history in MMA. So for a kid, say that he will be the best in the world and he will be on the big stages, everyone's just like, okay, Pedro, and they just laugh. It's like I don't blame, it's hard to believe in a thing like that, but I do believe in that. I do believe that I'll be there. I never said that I will be the first or this, but I knew that I will be there, and here I am. So I believe that the mental part is it's the most important part in the aspect, because in shape, any person can be in shape. You just don't have to be lazy. As soon you are not lazy, you can be in shape. Anyone can be in shape, but here it's a different story, and that's what makes champions. That's what makes an average fighter differentiate from a champion, from a greater of all time, something like that. And like I said, like the mental part is the most important aspect of the game.
Yeah, there's a lot of books written on like hardware versus software. Like some guys have the hardware, they physically can do things that are incredible, but they don't have the mental capacity. They like one thing I love about you is that you can see that it's a chess match for you. You are at analyzing things. You are quickly figuring out your range. You're quickly figuring out the speed of the fight. And you fought in many different ways, because you had a couple fights you finished early, and then your last fight it went to the second round, and in a way I was kind of happy it went to the second round and not, because I'm like, well, I don't want it to go longer than it has to, but it's not, sometimes I'm sure there's a little bit of like, okay, I like a little bit of a challenge, because that way, I'm sure, because sometimes those battles, if it's always too easy, I think sometimes, maybe can you get overconfident, or maybe can you take things lightly? I think a little bit of controversy from time to time is probably good to keep you sharp, and so I think I can see the fact that, and congratulations, I know you got your purple belt not too long ago after one of your previous fights, so which is awesome to do. And so yeah, the mental part of it, that's why when you see guys like Cristiano Ronaldo, you see the Tom Brady's, the guys who don't just do well in pressure, but they do better than everybody else. That's when they're at their best. People don't understand the pressure. Like when you're on, like you're gonna have that main event at Mohegan Sun. Everybody's watching. Everybody's, like there's fighters who you hear stories about have anxiety to go out there, or you hear stories about like, oh, I have to talk this guy into going out because he doesn't want to go out because he's having second thoughts. So to be able to stay focused and have that confidence, because it doesn't matter if everybody else believes in you. If you don't believe in yourself, you're screwed. You're basically screwed. Yeah. So I think having, and you see it in other sports, right? I play basketball. I play a little bit of soccer. But you see it in sports where like you can physically feel your best and sometimes have a bad game. I'm sure growing up playing soccer, sometimes you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm ready. And then there's days where you don't physically feel your best, but you're focused, you're in that zone, and then everything's flowing. And I almost feel like sports are like that, right? You're almost you almost have to teach your reaction. So you're almost like you've done it so many times, you've trained it so many times that you're doing it almost without thinking. Do you kind of feel like that? Like you're so, because I see you when you're in the ring, like you're so focused that I feel like no matter, like everything else disappears, I feel like, and do you kind of feel like that when you're in the ring?
Yeah, I feel 100% like when I get inside a cage, that's it. That's the only thing. I only see one thing, like, of course, then experience give me that thing of like be 100% focused on my opponent, and at the same time hear what my corner says and abstract from all the noise from the crowd. But that's like mainly comes with experience. But for me, it's like that, and I think it can be other way. You are fighting, you have your opponent in front of you, and it's not even that. Of course, in a fight you are focused on your opponent, but one thing is like focus, like you are looking at him and you are fighting him. Other thing is like you are looking at him and your focus is almost like touchable, and it's like your focus is almost before the fight going through him, and that's what my thought was goal. When before the fight, I just look at the other side and I'm just like, you always going to be the prey, and I'm always going to be the hunter, and that's it. That's my focus. That's my mental aspect that I like to put myself into, and that's a big part of my game. Go forward, put pressure, make him work, make him tired, and then when he doesn't even notice, he's starting to fight on my own rhythm, because then these guys they don't realize, because as I'm putting pressure, they have to defend themselves, they have to then attack and defend, and then they don't even realize they are playing on my own rhythm, and then they start to gas, and then I start to pick my shots. And going back to what you were talking, like I was happy that happy that I went to some still a or second round, and even there, like, I like to go more. That's why I say that 5 rounds it suits me perfect, because man, I start to get warm on the second round further. That's when I start to really fight at my best. And like, I know, like, I have I have 11, 8, 9 finishes, and from there 8, 9 finishes, only one went to the second round. All of them is first round. But I truly fight at my best, at my peak, when I pass the second round. That I'm just warm and I just go full, train mode, and that's it. And that's why I believe, and I just, out of 1,000 ways, I don't see one what I'm losing with Patricio. I see all the way. I imagine all the way. I visualize all the ways possible. Of course, there's only always one or two that you cannot imagine, and then boom, it happens in a fight. But I have no doubts whatsoever that once the date get rescheduled, I'll be the featherweight world champion. No doubt about it.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk to you about that. Has Bellator been in contact with you in regards to, like, what are they going to do? I know so many things are changing every day, and nobody really know. I think the uncertainty is what's kind of scary, because nobody knows when it's going to end.
Yeah.
All this stuff. If people are listening to this in the future, we're talking about the coronavirus, because you might be listening to this 5 years later and be like, what the hell are they talking about? We're talking about the coronavirus, which has everything on a standstill. I mean, I truly felt bad for you and the other fighters, because when they decided to do it, for people who might not be familiar, he was headlining against Patricio Pitbull at Mohegan Sun in Bellator, and then they decided to not have any fans there. I was happy that they're going to continue, because no soccer, no nothing. I'm like, at least there's Bellator this weekend. And then and then they did no fans, and I'm like, oh, at least he gets the fight, because I mean, you worked your ass off to cut weight. You've been training, and as you know, like, just going a whole training camp without having an injury or anything, when everything goes smoothly, it's like you want to take advantage of that. And then last second to pull, having to pull it was heartbreaking. I mean, and I'm sure you probably. What was your feelings when that happened? I mean, I'm sure when you got that call. A lot of different emotions went through your head.
It's like when I found out that the fight got canceled, I don't have words. It was like truly heartbreaking, But now, like, of course, not only I'm happy that Bellator made the decision, because they proved and they show how much they care about their fighters and their health, and that's really important, to see as a fighter that your bosses are not only concerned about the money, the profit, they are also concerned about you and your health, and that's really good to know and to see that kind of attitudes. And talking about specifically on the fight, at the time, and even like during their first week, I was like, looked like I was living a bad dream, because not a nightmare, but was like everything sounded and feel weird, because I visualized myself so many times, doing that travel back with a belt with me, just finish the fight, and suddenly I was coming back and nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened, and was weird. But I always guide myself and my life, like, when you really want one thing and that thing comes at the time and that doesn't happen, is because it's not meant to happen. It's because something better and bigger ahead. It will happen, and I always guide myself, and things always work that way for me, And I have no doubt there's something bigger and better ahead will happen. And like I've said before, it's much better and much tasty become world champion with a full crowd than an empty stadium or an empty venue.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that is a kind of a reflection of Bellator caring about the fighters, because in a way, you're absolutely right. Like, they protected the fans by removing them, but they're like, hey, you guys can still go out there. So I mean, it showed that, like, the revenue and because obviously they would have made money on people watching it on TV and whatnot. that wasn't as important as keeping everybody safe. And I'm sure, for Bellator, that was equally, as heartbreaking for them to have to shut that down. And yeah, I mean, it is, I couldn't even imagine what you're going through. And I mean, you're seeing it now. For the Ferguson, they just announced today the Ferguson Khabib fight. Khabib's stuck in Russia.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to be on April 18th. And now he's stuck in Russia. So it's like, who knows how many more months is it going to be? Bellator, are they planning on rescheduling it? Within a couple months? Have they kind of gave you any updates or anything, or are they just kind of playing it by ear as we get new information?
Yeah, right now I don't have any preview or idea when it's going to be. I believe it will be after July. I believe so. I believe that after July, that's my positive thoughts, that all these things will start to slowly getting better in April, May, and by mid-July or after July, I won't say that the whole world is back on track again, because I doubt it, but at least we'll be on the situation where the shows and things like that will be able to start to run again. But before that, I doubt it. After that, maybe we'll see. Maybe a show with no public. I don't know, but maybe after July, I believe so.
Yeah. So how are things in Portugal? I was born in Chaves. My parents are from northern Portugal.
My mother is also from Chaves.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just. I mean, I'm not from my mom. They're from like. My mom's actually from Superdelu and a little village, but Chaves was the closest big town with the hospital, so that's where I was born. But yeah, it's how are things there? And because I know northern Portugal they've been saying that it's slightly worse than other spots.
Yeah, like overall, I think of course it's not okay, but overall it's not like bad, because Portugal is taking precautions. Of course, not everyone is following what the government says to do, but overall everyone is doing what they're asking to do, and right now, like, we are waiting for the peak, because everyone says that the peak, the worst is still to come. It will be now in the next 2 weeks or a month. So, but I believe, but I think, and I believe that we are in a good place. Comparing, of course, we are not in a good place. There's people dying, but I think we are doing okay, and things will be okay. But I cannot say much, because this, like, a month ago, we were like, coronavirus. And like now we are here. So day by day, we are never sure. But I think in a matter of 2-3 weeks, I think we'll start to see results here and in the rest of the world.
How hard is it to train and try? I mean, are you really are you like, screw it, I'm gonna have a pastel nata and I'm gonna have some vino and relax and I'll get in shape in a couple weeks? Or are you staying in shape and you're really focused still?
My target, my goal is not accomplished, so I'm still in count. That's it. I'm like, the only thing that I give myself a break, a little break, is eating. Eating. I sometimes I eat a sweet or even a food. I have a tasty dish, but no alcohol. No, nothing. Training every day, controlling my weight every day, make sure that my weight is on the point that I want, and that's it. My weight, my shape, and myself are on point. If Bellator called me and said, like, hey, next week we're gonna need you, we're gonna do the show next week, I will be ready to make weight, and I will be ready to fight, and that's how I'm gonna keep myself until the fight gets scheduled. Doesn't matter, even if it takes 1 year, 2 years, I'll be 1 year, 2 years in camp, and that's it. That's how my focus is on right now. It's 300%. I'm even more focused than before the fight, the 13th of May, the 13th of March. Before that, right now I'm even more focused, and that's what I'm going to be, and that's where I'm going to continue to be.
Yeah, that's probably a good way of going about it because it's probably, when once you get out of shape, it's going to take much more work to get to where you are now, right? So it makes sense to, right? Would you
Yeah,
agree with
yeah,
that?
no, yeah, 100%. And that's the reason why I train off camp or in camp, doesn't matter. I never take breaks. The only breaks that I take after I get a fight, the only break that I give myself to is drinking a beer or something and having for 3 or 4 days in a row, like pizza, burgers, cheesy burgers, and things like that. That's my break. That's my way of celebrating it. But training, I never take breaks. I'm not even able. If I spend 3 days or four without training, I start to go mental. I have to, and even I said before to my like a lot of times before, I said to me and to my family, like, hey, after this fight, I'm for the first time I'm gonna take a break. Not only from training, I'm gonna take a break mentally and psychologically. Just be 100% to the family. Impossible. I can't. I just I failed completely. I just can't. I have to be. I have to be doing something. I have in my head, my mind never stops. And that's how I am, and I can change that, and that's how I feel good about myself. If I don't train, I feel horrible about myself. Even if it's like a run, even if it's like 15-minute run, I have to do something. I have to do at least something that I say, okay, at least you didn't spend all day on the couch. And that's how I continue to be. But each person guides himself his own way. This is my own way. I'm not saying this is the right way. This is my way to be.
Yeah, but I think the mental aspect of exercising is people don't realize how important it is. Like
Yeah.
I'm a gym rat. I'm always playing basketball, soccer. I go to the gym. I mean, I went to all the gyms are closed, so now I go. I still have like my weight set at my parents' house. So this morning I went to my parents' house, took off the dust off my old dumbbells and stuff like that, and I have to get exercise. And I'm just like you. I'm not one of those people who even when I go on vacation, I have to find the closest gym. I'm like, I can't enjoy this glass of wine and this beautiful meal if I don't feel like I earned it. And
Yeah.
my wife would always be like, oh, don't stop feeling guilty all the time. And I'm like, you don't understand. Guilt is not a bad thing. It's my way of keeping me going. It's like I feel
Yeah.
guilty, and that forces me. If I eat too much or I eat like a slob tonight, and I don't feel like I earned it, it forces me to wake up tomorrow morning and get a workout in. It forces me to, and the big thing too is like they've done studies where exercise does more for anxiety, more for depression, more for stress
Absolutely.
than anything. So when people like a lot of people like ourselves, we exercise because we love the sport, we love the competition, but there's a mental aspect of it, and I'm just like you. If I don't get a workout in mentally, like you're saying, oh, I'm going to focus on my family, this and that, and I know you have a little one, just like I do. I have my son who just turned 5, and my little girl who's 3, and same thing. I tell my wife, I'm like, you don't understand. I'm a better husband. I'm a better father. I'm a better friend. I'm a better everything when I get this workout in, because I'm like, my tolerance level for dealing with the kids stressing me out, my tolerance level for confrontation, I'm like, all that stuff gets better. So I'm like, exercising, working out isn't just a hobby. It's a way of life. It's a necessity. It's no, and do you kind of feel the same way?
I feel what I really feel like a huge difference, like we say in Portugal, from the wine to the water. It's like when I'm having, when you have their times, their weeks, their days that everything is going bad, like everything is going wrong, and you were just like, fuck, that days happen to everyone. And then I go to the gym, and this is not only because I'm doing what I love, is because the sport itself, doing itself, and like the Pedro Carvalho that gets in and gets out is completely different. When I get out, like I get in the gym, and I like have a ton on top of me, like all these things, stress from the day, and like fuck this day, and then when I get out, I'm just like, oh, I'm so light, and like I'm so happy. I'm everything, everything is beautiful around me. and my mood gets completely different. Like even the problems, like I remember, oh, but I still have this problem, but like it's not that big of a problem. It's okay. I can deal with that. You know, like the way you start to see things and approach things changes. You know, and MMA not only like of course is what I love. That's and I take big pleasure in doing it, but also the part of the physical part of exercising always played a huge role in my life and always, you know, like I always was like a really positive guy, and that's it. Everything that I do, it's about positivity, and everything negative that happens to me, I like to embrace and make become something positive, or take something positive out that negative thing. But sometimes, you know, it happens to everyone that there are days you are just like, oh, you mentally you are like, not there, you know, and everything is going wrong. And then when you think you go wrong, you go on the street and something bad happens. It's like, oh, I shouldn't leave the house, you know. And then I hit the gym, I train, and boom, my world changes, and I'm just, you know, I'm just in a paradise, and that's it. It's like a drug, you know. It's truly like a drug because it has that effect on your body. It creates your body starts to react like he has a drug, and that's good for you because it starts to create your own organism, your metabolism starts to get stronger. You start to get stronger against, you know, flus and things like that. So it only has benefits for you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We have days at work where we have a little family construction company, and you know, same thing. Like you'll wake up, you know, a tire will be popped on the truck. Then you get to work, and a hose blows on the Bobcat, and my dad will be like, "Why didn't I stay in bed today?" He's like, you know, it just like you said, it's one of those days where everything just
Yeah.
like builds up, and when you get a workout in, like you said, the same things that were stressing you out before, after that workout, it's like that quote. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That workout helps you look at things differently, and you can look at it from a positive light. So without a doubt, and there's a thing called runner's high. You know, people who go for these long runs. I mean, all that heavy breathing. You know, it releases endorphins and all those, you know, the happy chemicals in your brain. So I think, I mean, a huge issue with I think today is you know, we do have, especially in America, I see it. You know, I feel like in the old country they still spend more time with family. They do. You know, like I was just helping my parents last week make chorizas and you know, and it's more about bringing the community together. Everybody comes together, we help each other, we're drinking, we're laughing, and but a lot of people when they come to America, they get so obsessed with work, and they don't have time to work out. They don't have time to take care of themselves, and then the stress just builds up and builds up and builds up, and then there's a lack of community and all this stuff. So I think you know, some of the most natural things are moving, exercise, you know, because I mean, since the beginning of time, you know, my parents grew up on a farm, and you know, and they moved, they had to do things, you know. That's what our body's designed to do. It's not designed to sit down in front of a computer all day and do nothing, you know. That's why it's not happy when you do that, you know. So I think that's all super important. And so for people who don't know, you end up going from Portugal to Ireland, and how did that happen?
So firstly there was and back in 2015 I had my last loss, and at the time was I had two losses in a row. So I had my record was in 5-3. I was 19. I was 20 years old, and like for me to, you know, have these goals, you know, be the best, prove that I'm the best, be on the big stages, etc., and having the record that I had at the time, I was like, man, this won't work out this way. And then a few months later happened that thing with João Carvalho, the death of João Carvalho, and there was a big thing in Portugal. You know, everyone was speaking about, and like no one never spoke nothing in the news about MMA. And then a bad thing happens, and he goes all day, every day talking about that, and suddenly everyone starts to speak about MMA. Everyone has an opinion about MMA, and we are savage and this and that. And suddenly we stopped having MMA shows and everything. The MMA thing in Portugal just completely stopped. And if I wanted to have a future in MMA, I needed to do something. So me and my girlfriend, we just decided we need to do something about it and move. Moving out of the country was the only option. So we started to see, searching for places to go, see gyms, places, and everything. In the meanwhile, I started working in a factory. I stopped training, so I could be working full time, so I could join money, so I could do the moves. And then we were talking about MMA, and we were talking about Connor, and my girlfriend asked me if he was living and training in America. And I was like, no, like he's still living and still training in the same gym that he started with in Dublin, in Ireland. And she was like, and what do you think about the team? And I was like, SVG is like, man, he's by far one of the best in the world. And in Europe, is like, you don't have best than that. And she was like, well, you like Ireland is in Europe, and my plane is like 2 hours from here. And I was like, damn, yeah, she's right, but then the first problem that came in, so it was we never been in Ireland before. We didn't know no one in Ireland, nothing, absolutely nothing, zero. We have really zero from Ireland. So in November 16 we booked 1 week flight, so I could went to SVG, present myself, and at the same time during the week search for work and a house, so we could stay there. So the whole week went out, and in the end we didn't have a job and we didn't have a house, nothing to stay. So our plan went just like boom, down. So it was really heartbreaking and disappointment. So we were going back to Portugal, and as we were getting on a plane to Portugal, me and my girlfriend, we came with the same idea at the same time. We're like, hey, when we land in Portugal, the first thing we'll do is just book a flight one way to Ireland, and that's it. When we land, we land. That's it. There's no way back. There's no way back after that. And that was what we did. We as soon we arrived in Portugal, we saw the flights, we booked them, and on 13th of January 2017, we landed in Ireland, and that was it. Like we had been lucky because my girlfriend straight away got a job, and like on the second day that we were on Ireland, we got a house. We were sharing an apartment with other couple, and things started to get along. But then it was really hard for me to get a job. It took me like three months to get a job, and yeah, it was like a bit hard times, but things turned out to be good, But and then like this, if I tell you the story of these 3 years, it will be a long story, because then I got my first fight finally in October. In midway, I got a fight. They got canceled because my MRI came with anomaly, so they could be the end of my career. Happily, it wasn't.
Wow.
It was like everything was like going kind of bad, wrong for us. And then I finally got a fight in October, and for Halloween, I got my first fight for SVG. I won first round, and me and my girlfriend, we came back, and we were home. And so the fight was on a Sunday. We were we went because it was another city, so we spent the night there. We came to Dublin, and then we were in home. I was about to go back to training, on Tuesday. And my girlfriend said she needs to speak with me, and she was pregnant. And then again, I was like, damn, what are you going to do? Because we didn't have money. The money that we had from the jobs was just to pay the bills. That's it. And then we figured out that She went back to Portugal. She have a safe pregnancy, and I will stay there. And then I'll stay there. Then I have one more fight outside of Bellator. Then I got finally my Bellator chance, and then and then I have my first fight on Bellator. Won. Came back to Portugal. My son born, and after my son born, I still spent the first 18 months of life of him in Ireland, and they were here until like this last January when I finally got the financially conditions to bring them back, close to me in Ireland. So this is like a really quick resume from the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure a lot of other things happen between all those situations.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you say how, and you can tell, like you are very mentally strong because you say you look at things positive, and sometimes it's easy to look at things positive when everything goes well, but you're doing it when things don't go well, and when everything seems like it's falling apart, you still find a way of focusing on your goal, looking at the positive, and finding a way to get through it. And I mean, I think those mental traits are really important for an MMA fighter, because there's going to be times in an MMA fight where you might be in a situation where it might seem like it's hopeless, but you have to have the willpower to get through that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what like I've said, that's what differentiate an average fighter from a real champion. And I like to give this example because, like Ronda Rousey, she gave a lot to the sport. If the female if the female scene is at the good point that it is right now, doing main events, it's because of her a lot, because she brought views to the MMA, to the female MMA. But speaking as like a champion, as an athlete, while she was winning everything, she was doing great. She was like unstoppable. And but then she has her first loss, and after she had the first loss, she never had the power and the and it never was able to get back on track. And that's what I'm saying. You see, with a lot of guys that after have the first loss, they are never the same again. For example, Rene Varao, when before he lost with TJ Dillashaw, he was unstoppable. He was beating everyone, and then he lost with TJ Dillashaw, and that's it for, I don't know, 6 years. I think in 6-7 years, he only had one win or two. And that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I say, that the mental part in the game is the most important part, because if you don't have it here, you can be in the best shape on your life. If you don't have it here, you're gonna be useless, because you don't gonna have the confidence. And it's the same thing. You have the best car in the world, but the engine doesn't work. If the engine doesn't work, the car doesn't move. And so I think is the best example that I can give is that one.
Yeah, I mean, you see it even recently with Kevin Lee. He's had a couple losses, and he's talked about retiring. Ben Askren, he was undefeated, came to the UFC, and then he talked about retiring. But then you see somebody like Conor McGregor, he loses to Nate Diaz, and the first thing he wants to do is run that fight right back, and he wants to do it at the same weight. He wants to, even though he had nothing to gain from it, and I think it showed his mental toughness, his willingness to prove everybody that he's not just talking shit. He truly knows that he can beat this guy. And I remember when he did that, because I remember telling people, I'm like, he didn't even have to take the fight against Nate Diaz at that weight. He did it because he really, he's like, fuck it. I tell everybody says they'll fight anybody, but they don't, and he's like, when I say it, I will. And when Nate Diaz wanted to do it at 170, he had no reason to fight him. If he lost, it would hurt his career. If he won, it wouldn't really, help his career, because he's already on top anyways. But he did it because he was at his heart, he was a true fighter who truly believed in his skills, and so I think a lot of people when he ran that back, and Nate Diaz is he's one of those guys that he's very hard.
Tough.
Yeah, he's tough. He takes a lot. He can take a lot of hits to the head, and but yeah. So I think that mental toughness is so important, and I think as a fan sometimes you don't see what's going on behind the scenes. Everybody talks a lot of shit. Everybody acts like they're not afraid of anybody. But you hear Dana White talk about it.
Man,
you hear.
you can.
Oh yeah,
Sorry
go
to
ahead. No,
interrupt. You
yeah,
can.
yeah.
Where you can see is on backstage. On backstage is like when the cameras are off, or when the cameras are not pointing to the guy. Then you can really see like who's for real and who's not for real, and that's exactly that's why I love fight week. That's why I love to be in the hotel, around, because then is when really I make sure I show, especially my opponent, that like this is for real, because people say they can do this and that in front of the camera because it plays good, but then the camera, when it's not pointing anymore, the real them are coming. And then when they see from this side that the guy that is speaking the thing that will do for them is still the same guy that is looking right in front of them, that's a big thing. And that's all this mental thing I like. I always the mind games and all that thing. It was the thing that always interested me. And now that you speak, this is just a example of that. Yeah, and it's completely true.
Now, when you went to Ireland, I'm sure Conor McGregor's gym is very busy because he probably brought a lot of popularity to it. Do they just accept anybody who's coming in, or was there something that they saw in you that they're like, no, this guy's for real? Let's, how do you, because I'm sure that was a concern of yours, right? Like, you can make it to Ireland, but are they going to be okay with me training here? Or are they going to take me seriously? You're from, like you said, you're from Portugal. Our country's not a country that's really known for MMA fighters. Was that a concern of yours? Like, are they going to be welcoming or whatnot?
So I informed myself before all that. I'll work, and like anyone that wants to join SBG is welcome. Like on the first times you just have to pay the subscription, like in a gym. That's it. You pay and you train. And of course, I present myself, I send them stuff, and then I spoke personally with John, that is the head coach and the owner of the gym and the team. And I told him, and there was like a huge. It was really interesting because I came to him and we are talking about John Kavanagh, that is like not only the best coach in MMA in the world. At that time that we were having that conversation, he just have the first ever double champ in UFC in MMA history, in UFC, and like he had the big star ever. There was Conor, and suddenly he had this 21 years old boy in front of him telling, "Hey, I am going to be the best in the world," this and that, and he never looked at me in doubt. He never, like, of course, he always will be polite, but you could see on him that I was telling him this, and he wasn't look down on me on that, and that was really, really important for me, And there was just like a big sign that I was like on the right place. This is the place that I need to be, And I present myself, and then I just did what I do best, that is showing every day and training, And like I've said, doesn't matter how bad that things work for you, if you just keep being consistent, believing, and working hard, sooner or later things will start happening. And that was the case for me. It took some long, but things start working. So I just kept the focus, and step by step, things starts to showing up.
Yeah, I think luck has a lot to do with things, but what people don't remember is that it seems like the ones who work hard and harder are the ones who get luckier, So luck comes to those who work hard. So, I mean, sometimes a little bit of luck helps, but if you keep working at it, you're going to get much luckier. So I think that's a huge part. And then when you became a father, how did that affect you mentally? Because I'm kind of a new father myself. My like I said, my son just turned 5, and I could see a lot of changes with myself. So did you have similar type of changes?
It completely it changed me like big time, and for the better, better, because I heard, like, of course you have the example of Rory McDonald, for example, that he looked like he kind of got softer. But in my case, like, in my case, is like I got way more focus after my son was born for a simple reason. Because until my son was born, was like me and me. I was a bit selfish, and I think in a way, if you want to have success, you have to be a little selfish. And in my head was like me be the best, working to be the best, and prove that I'm the best, and that was it. Me. And suddenly, I have my son in my hands, and my whole world changed. Because then I wasn't only fighting for myself. I was fighting for my son's future. I was fighting to feed him, to give him the best quality life that I never dreamed to have when I was a kid, and the whole thing changes. And then what even gave me their killing motivation was the fact that I didn't have the financial possibilities to have him with me and my girlfriend in Ireland, so every time, and the results are on view, because after my son was born, I had 3 fights with Luca Vitali in Italy, Derek Campos, and Sam Cecile, and those 3 I finished my opponents. And that's not like in vain. That's not like randomly. That's simply because my focus changed, because it's my will of want to be the best, mixing with the responsibility that I have with my son. And man, if I always say that no one will mess with my goals, like that's even worse when I think about my son. Like when I think about my son, like nah, there's not even a chance that this guy is gonna take food out of my son's table. There's no way that this guy is gonna make me spend another extra 3, 4, 5 months away from my son. So that was the mentality going to the fight, and when the rocks cage, my mind was like, the only thing that separates this guy's life from that is the referee, and that was it, and I just went out there to kill, because we were talking about my son, and that's how big of a change in my mind and my motivation and my daily approach to MMA my son gave to me, because like I said, these guys, all these guys say they want some, but they don't really know what it means to want something. And my son changed me big time,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It sounded like you're already a very self-motivated person. Now you just added one more motivation to it, so it just went off the charts. Yeah, I mean, it's it is unbelievable. And I mean, there's nothing better. You want to talk about positivity? I mean, besides exercise, the only other thing I know that could make you forget about all your problems or any stresses, it's your kids. Everything else doesn't seem as bad when you hang out with your kids. And so yeah, I mean, it's an amazing experience, and it's awesome that all these good things are happening to you at once, and especially after going through the bumps in the road that you had that led you here. But I don't want to hold you up too much longer. I mean, before I let you go, I got to know who your team is. If you're a Benfiquista, Sportingista, Porto, who's your team? People. I'm sure there's some Portuguese listeners who are gonna be mad if I don't ask.
Like I'm from Guimarães, and every person from Portugal that knows people from Guimarães, they know I'm from Vitória de Guimarães. That is like our local team.
Yeah,
and that was it. We are passionate about our city and our club, and we are mad people. We are mad people about our team, and that was it. That's it. I'm from Vitória de Guimarães.
Well, you guys have you guys have a pretty good team from time to time, and weren't you guys were in the Europa League, right? I mean, recently.
No, we qualified, but we didn't win so far. We won the Portuguese Cup to Benfica.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, I have a buddy of mine who he talked about going to a Benfica Guimarães games, and he's like, because we were talking about who because I mean, I used to go to Portugal every other year, but probably since I was 16 I haven't been there, and I'm going to be 35 this year, so it's been a long time. And I was asking him, like, hey, you've been to a lot of games in Portugal. I'm like, who are the craziest fans? And he's like, dude, he's like, you'll never guess. I'm like, who? He's like, Guimarães. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And he's like, they are the craziest fans. He's like, you go to a game there, he's like, they are the loudest, they're the craziest. He's like, and I'm like, really, man? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm not surprised you saying that.
Yeah, we are, and beside the three biggest clubs, that is Porto, Benfica, or Sporting, we are the club that takes more fans to the stadium outside home, outside home. So
Yeah.
that's how passionate we are. We truly breathe our city and our club. It's just how we are. We used to say here that. Before Portuguese, we are from Guimarães, and then we are Portuguese, and I think it has a big role, a big part of that is the thing that Portugal was born here. The first king of Portugal is from Guimarães, and the whole Portuguese kingdom, Portugal started here, and we are really proud of that, and we still conserve that. We still have the castle of the kings, the residential of the kings, the city center is the historic city center, is UNESCO patrimony, and yeah, we are really proud of that, and we really say out loud that we are from Guimarães with big pride, and that's just how we are.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I always thought that growing up being Portuguese, my dad was always very patriotic about his country. And, we'd always talk about how great Portugal was. And I'm always like, that's just my dad because he was, he was raised there. But then as you grow up and you learn the history and you learn just all the great minds. I mean, even now, you look at soccer, for example. I was listening to a interview with some soccer analysts, and usually they say a bunch of dumb stuff. But one thing that they talked about, that they made a really good point, was how good Portuguese people are at adapting to their surroundings. And they were saying how Portuguese coaches are a perfect example of it, because Portuguese managers do well all over the world, in England, in Germany, and Brazil. I mean, Jesus, for example, like so many of these guys do well everywhere. And it's like more than other coaches, other managers, they seem like they're very good at adapting to their surroundings, and they're like almost like culturally intelligent able to mix with other people and adapt, and I think I see that. It seems like, I mean, I'm not saying that just because I'm Portuguese, but I see that it seems like I meet people from all over. Like a lot of my friends are foreigners, and it's just something like I connect with them. There's a connection, even though they might come from Lebanon, or they might come from Italy, or they might come from Poland, wherever they are. There's a connection because you're a foreigner. You still hold on to some of your culture. You hold on to some of your morals. Maybe more family oriented. One thing we all have in common: we all love to eat together and laugh together and stuff. Yeah. And I connect with that. And it seems like Portuguese people are really good at, wherever I go, I feel like I can just adapt, and I can adapt. Do you kind of feel like that? Like you could go to Ireland and maybe you could adapt to the culture, because of some of those traits?
I like the only experience that I have living outside is in Ireland, and also, and that was my case. Like I identified, and that was one of the things that made all this move so much easier, was the fact that I identified a lot with the Ireland culture. I don't know if there was an adapter factor, or me that just like identified with the whole Irish thing, and also the fact that that I just really got into the culture, and also well received. I just got along with people straight away, and that's why I carry also the Irish flag with me, because I'm really grateful to that people, because they, from day one, they receive me, treat me, and support me like one of their own, and that's one thing that it has to do with you. It's because when you go to a new place, and if you go with the right attitude, you just go and embrace the whole new experience, the new place that you are. I think everything around you is gonna embrace you. and I can see from my example that when I went to Ireland, I embraced Ireland. Everyone, like, that's my country, and everything just looked like it was embracing me, and was just unbelievable. Like, for me, Ireland is not even a second home; it's my home. As Portugal is. And I always saw, for other example, people there went, and in Ireland and even other places, that moved to other place, and they were like always comparing the place they are with their local, the place where they grow up, or the place they used to live. And all these little negatives, like, it's like daily basis. Take like this daily basis. It's like it's negative thought is like a brick, and you put a brick here, a brick there, a brick there, and for like half year later, you almost have a wall. 1 year later, you have like the basis of a house, and you are building a house out of negativity. And when you think about it, you just hate the place that you are. You just think, "God, all these things sucks," and then this and that. And you can see on that. You can see that the place where you are, it's what you surround yourself with. And if you surround yourself with positivity, and you embrace everything that is around you, only good things will happen. Even if one bad thing here and there happens, because that's life. There's nothing to do with that. Everything is going to be great. Everything is going to be just fine. But if from day one you will criticize the place you are, you will put like bad things, like, oh this, oh that, only bad things will happen to you, and you will never really like the place that you be, and you will never be happy on the place that you are. So I think, like I said again, everything has to do with the mental part, and because energy as vibrations, so it's real. It's like I read a study about that this is not only philosophical things, it's real. It's like your thoughts have vibrations, and pretty basically everything that happens to you is what you surround yourself with. And if you surround yourself with negativity, you're only going to get negativity. And the proof of that is, like, I think it happens to everyone when they are going for a bad phase. And when you think like, oh, life sucks. And when you continue to think negatively, bad things continue to happen. Looks like there's no way back. And that's the big thing. That's pure real, because when you surround yourself with negativity, only bad things gonna happen. And when you surround yourself with positivity, good things happen. And everyone that thinks like me, I think, will agree. I think, and it goes all the way from, for example, people with depression. Because that's a huge factor on the currently, on the 21st century. And I think, if those people surround us, they just need one person. That's why it's so important, to share love, because love just create love, and hate just create hate, and you just need one person close to you to hug him and give him love, and all that energy is going to be on the person. That's how you save lives, and that's how you change people's life, with positivity, love. And that's if I can passage a message, it's there. Surround yourself with love and positivity, and only good things happen. And you're gonna even inspire others. You're gonna transmit that energy to others, because that's real. That energy, it's real. And only good things happen when you surround yourself with positivity. That's it. I lose myself speaking, and then I'm going to put myself a break on it.
Believe me, I go on long rants on this show all the time. That's why when you're like, oh, sorry for interrupting you, I'm like, don't worry, you need to interrupt me sometimes or I won't shut up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think those are such important things. I mean, the way you look at things affects those things so much. And there's so many things we don't understand. I mean, I remember years ago seeing this technology where they would hook up these things to your brain and to your head, and like the way you would think about things would move this robot, and there's all these these waves. So there's all this energy, and there's so many different things, that can affect the way you look at things, and things that we don't quite understand. I mean, I'm a big fan of Wim Hof. I don't know if you know the Iceman. He does the breathing technique.
Yes.
Yes. Andre Olowski was doing it for a while, and because they're from the Netherlands, and I truly, I love his passion with just wanting to spread love and trying to help people be the best they can be, and tapping into that. And without a doubt, I mean, so many times I tell people, I'm like, listen, if somebody's making you mad, try to ignore it and fall asleep, and then the next morning, if you're still mad about it, then maybe talk about it. But you'll be surprised how many times the next day you'll be like, you know what, I'm so glad I avoided that fight, and I'm so glad I didn't bring that up and cause friction, because that's just more negativity. And like my wife's always like, oh, because sometimes people will talk to her, they'll run in there like, oh, how's work going for your husband? And she's like, I don't know, he doesn't talk about it. And and I always tell people, I'm like, I don't talk about work, because I'm like, usually nothing good happens at work. So I'm like, if I talk about it, all I'm doing is that's why when people tell stories, they seem to get tensed up again, because while you're telling that negative story, it's almost like
their same feelings.
Yeah, you're reliving it again. So those same feelings are returning. So my way of avoiding going through that and not getting mad about it again or dealing with that again is I don't talk about it. And I'm just like, you know what? It happened. Let me just focus on the positive. Let me focus on the positive. And it seems that to help me. I mean, I have this issue too. I think my parents, mostly my mother, gave me like this issue with money, because growing up, we were poor when we came to America. And like, I remember my dad hated America when he first came here, and my mom's like, we spent all our money to get here. We don't have any money to go back. So like, we're stuck here. And so growing up, like, everything was about money. Like, it was the stress of the household. It's like, oh, we can't, I can't buy new sneakers because we don't have any money. We got to save money. I gotta, only wear my nice clothes for church. I gotta, when everybody else at school had nice clothes, I had to wear hand-me-downs and stuff from that was on sale. And it was such a stress that now, like, I try not to think about it at all. I mean, to the point where it's like, it'll get me in trouble because I'll be late with paying a bill because I don't even want to think about it. I just want to think about the positive. But it helps me with being a positive person. Like, even people who are negative, it's like, yeah, you try to help them out as much as you can, but after a while, it's like, it is going to affect you. You have to be positive and try to filter out the negativity. And and you'll be surprised, like you said, when you you can only fight darkness with light. You can't fight it with more darkness. And it's the same thing. Love will create more love, and hate or negativity will create more negativity. And you see it with simple things, like if my wife calls me and she's in a good mood, and she, I'll be in a good mood, I'll get off the phone. Next person I talk to, they're gonna see me in a good mood, and it's gonna continue. But if she calls me and she's in a bad mood, and all of a sudden she's she puts me in a bad mood, I get off the phone, now I'm in a bad mood, I might react negative to this guy. This guy's gonna react negative to that guy because I put it. Yeah. And it's a ripple effect. That's why the podcast is called the ripple effect, because I truly believe in this idea that we can all we can share, we can have a effect, and sometimes you never know how big of an effect you're having. You can start very little, but as that ripple effect continues, you never know who you're inspiring, what you're changing. And every great change, every inspirational person started off with just a idea or a passion or whatever it is, and then just pursued it. So without a doubt, I think that's a great message, and it's a great outlook, not just for MMA, but I think for life in general. So
yeah, 100%. That's how I always got myself, and I think that's pretty much that's it. I think hate, you don't have nothing to gain with hate and negativity itself. You truly don't, and that's why I never understood the hate comments and people that lose their time to go to other people's accounts. Not only they lose their time seeing other people's life, they also take time of their lives to comment bad things about their people that they don't know, and I think that's a huge problem in our society, current society. Like, you are always worried about what other people think, and then the other half, it's really just concerned about other people's life, and I think the first thing that you should worry about is your life, you and your own, and that's it. And that's it. I think the story ends there. It's you and your loved ones, and that's it. The rest is rest. Just concerned about you, concerned about your family, concerned about your happiness, and if your loved ones are happy, and that's it. Just the people that matters to you matter. Because then you're gonna change yourself because, oh, that guy doesn't like me, or that guy doesn't like my style, or I'm not gonna do this that I like because maybe I'm gonna be judged. You're gonna stop being you, and as you stop being you, you just stop being happy. You start to live other people's life. You start to live someone else. You just start to put yourself in under other people's skin. And when this is like day by day, month by month, year by year, you start to become a hateful person because you are not living a life you like. And then you start to become these guys that go out there and spread hate because I think there's a big part of it because they are so concerned about other people's opinion. And when they notice, they are someone else. And I think if you concern and if you focus on things you love, people that you love, and positivity and love things, man, that your life going to be great. Because in the end of the day, doesn't matter what people think, because their thoughts doesn't gonna have any effect on you. Your life's gonna keep going on, going forward. Doesn't matter if people say this or that from you. In the end of the day, your life is going to still be the same. Your house is going to be in the same place. Your job or what you do is going to be in the same place. Everything is going to be going the same direction as every day. So just live your life, just be happy, and that's it. And then once again, that's the message that I would like to pass to everyone. Just be themselves. Don't worry about what other people think, and share love and be positive. That's it.
Yeah, that's so important because that is such an issue. And I think a lot of times when somebody's sharing negativity to you or to me or to somebody else, a lot of times I try to remind myself, because I'll be playing basketball or soccer, whatever it is, and you'll get that guy who's always fighting with everybody or and I'm always like, you know what? Like, he's not mad at me. He has some internal issues that he's taken out on me, but it's internal. Like, it's, and a lot of these people online are the same thing. They're unhappy and they're trying to make other people unhappy because they're unhappy. And, I tell people all the time, like, the only people's opinions who really, really matter are the ones who actually know you. Like, these people online don't know you. Like, so if your loved ones love you and they love who you are, if your close friends love you and they know who you are, then those are the people who matter. Not somebody who sees, one fight on TV and then think they know everything about you. They don't know how good of a person you are. They don't know how you treat your family, your friends, how good of a husband, of a sibling, a child you are. They don't know these things. So it's like the only opinions that matter are the people who actually know you. And you're right. I mean, too many people get caught up in this, this person's, and you hear it all the time. I talk to people who are podcasters, authors, historians, whoever it is. They'll talk about how they'll have all these positive things, and then that one negative comment is the one they remember. They forget but that one negative comment will be the one that sticks with them. And I'm like, you can't do that. You can't, because you don't know who that person is. You don't know if he's the type of person that's writing a negative thing on you, a negative person on them, a negative. And usually the negative people are the most vocal. You go to, if I go to a restaurant and I like the food, I'm going to go home and maybe tell a friend or whatever that I like the food. But a negative person is the one who's going to go online and be like, fuck this place. The food sucked. The server sucked. No. I'm like, I'm not going to go online and write how awesome it is. I'm just going to appreciate it when I was there, and that's it. So unfortunately, I think sometimes the negative ones are the most vocal and active.
Yeah, like I think that's really true. That's really true what you said. But like I've said, that if people can hear me, and that's how I would like to send a message, and that's how I position myself in life, and I think he only brought good things for me, you know. And if brought good things for me, like I've said, no one born special. We are not specials, you know. A lot of times, and on these days, parents say, "Son, you are you." No one is special, and that's a good thing, because every, like, of course, not everyone. If you are if you're born in a really wealth family, you have more opportunities, but we all can be who we desire and want to be. We just have to be aware that hard work, self-belief, and a lot of sacrifice are along on the journey. And as long from the very beginning you are fine with that, you just go, and from there you're gonna take so much proud of yourself, and happiness there. You know, you're like, every day you just think to yourself, that's all I think every day. I say, man, I love my life. You know, I couldn't have a best family that I have. You know, my son, my beautiful son, healthy son, my girlfriend. You know, I do what I love. You know, I have what I have, but I have what I have because I went after it, and I embraced everything, and I never made an excuse. I never complained. I just went after it. And I stay positive about everything. That one day things will start to figure out, and like I've said, like, we everyone is able to do this. Everyone is able to do. You know, the thing is, a lot of times people don't want to get out of their comfort zone, and 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 they don't have to have the work of going after something, or believe, or even the fears. The own people have fears, you know, of failing. But I always thought this to myself, because of course failing is a thing that is parallel with success. So when you get into a journey, the failure is always existing. But from the very beginning of my journey, I always thought, man, I prefer to fail. Then when I get older, I look back and I say, man, I never tried, and I never knew, I never gonna know how it will be, you know. So I think it's better to fail than don't do it. And besides, failure, it's part of a success journey, because if you want to achieve success, you have to go through the failures. Only going through the failures is going to give you the right steps to achieve success. You just don't have a trampoline and you jump and that's it, you have success. No, the failure are the really big steps and the most important steps to achieve success. You know, that's what going to completely complete you. And I speak for myself. The failures and the downs of my whole life was what made me be what I am, because it made me stronger. It made me see things in a different way. I learned from them, and I got better. So I think people worry too much, even outside of sport, like on daily basis. No one wants to have the failures on their life, and people always avoid to the bad things, you know. But that's life. Life is there. Life is about bad and good things, you know, and you should embrace both of them. And when you start to face things, you know, both good and bad things the same way, that's it, you know. Like I've said in the beginning, there's no way, nothing will take you down, because mentally you will become so strong, because you are used to deal with good things and bad things, you know. And once you get used to work with them both, you're just gonna live your life, because things will happen bad and we're like, oh, but you know, instead of like, oh, what I'm going to do, I'm gonna lay, no, you're gonna try to figure it out, to get a solution and keep your life normally, you know. And I think, again, I lost myself a little bit
Yeah,
on
no,
words,
no,
and but
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
that's a thing, you know.
No, no, I love it, because one thing I love about you is that it doesn't sound like I'm talking to early 20s, up and coming young man. It sounds like I'm talking to a retired.
My head also doesn't look like that.
Because you sound like somebody who is 60 retired and your years of
Yeah.
wisdom is coming out. You know, it's just, but that's what I love about you, is that you really think about this.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's phenomenal, and it's everything you're saying is so true, and it's not just, like I said, it's not just about MMA. It's life lessons that really are going to help you get, you know, and success is different to everybody. Like you said, success is different. Success can be you trying to just capture a goal. Even if you don't get there, you'll be much happier. I say it all the time. Like you meet a lot of old people who say, I wish I pursued this, I wish I did that, but you never meet anybody who says, I wish I gave up sooner, right? You never hear people,
exactly.
you know. So I'm like, so you're better off giving it all you can and make sure you have no regrets, and you gave it all you try and failed, but then you can look back and say, hey, I gave it my best try, I gave it my best attempt. So yeah, without a doubt, that is a great for anybody pursuing anything. I mean, there's so many people who, I say it all the time, like there's so many people who are listening to this who maybe love playing music, love doing something, you know, when I started this podcast, I started in this basement, and I'm like, you know, I had friends telling me, who the fuck's gonna listen to your show? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm gonna record it, you know, and
you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, I got to start somewhere, and you know, I've been very lucky to, you know, I've had Eddie Bravo on, you know, I've had Justin Wren also, you know, from Bellator, but I've had people like ex-CIA people, people who worked at the White House, Jesse Ventura. I had Rick, you know, Freeway Rick. These people, I'm like, why the fuck are they talking to me? But I was willing to you know, put in the work, like you said, and just follow my passion. Like I love just sharing interesting conversations with people. Like, for example, this conversation, I think, you know, when I started this podcast, I believed in, like, okay, if I can capture interesting conversations with people that I'm a fan of, people that I find interesting, and even if one person hears that conversation, they get something from it, to me, it's worth having, you know. And so, you know, that's my goal, and that's why I love having people like yourself on, who really, you know, these are lessons and wisdom about life, about, I mean, these are the conversations that I think people listen to, and so many people who are going through things, or maybe are looking things incorrectly, can take something from this. So so I can't thank you enough for taking the time, Pedro. I know it's late over there in Portugal.
No, it's still 10 to 7. It's okay.
Yeah, but I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be with me and share your thoughts and your life experiences. And I truly, you know, hopefully if you come to Mohegan Sun or anywhere in New England area, I'll get a chance to watch you hold that belt above your head, because I truly believe, you know, just like yourself, I truly believe you have special things coming ahead of you, and you know, I wish you best luck, and hopefully we keep in touch, and one day we'll get to meet one day. I'll buy you a super bug.
100%, 100%. We got a deal on that one.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. I really appreciate it, and we'll keep in touch. Take care and stay
Yes,
safe.
100%. You too. Thank you very much.
Hey, for now.